The silent bell. Crestwood High looked ordinary from the outside. Brick walls, faded banners, and trophy cases filled with victories from a decade ago. But students whispered about the bell tower, a jagged spire that cast long shadows across the schoolyard. Nobody went up there. The iron gates blocking the stairwell had been locked for as long as anyone could remember. They said the bell hadn't rung since the 1960s. They also said that when it did, someone always died. Maya, new to Crestwood, heard the story her first week. The seniors loved to spook transfers. Urban legend, she scoffed. Her new friend Daniel shook his head. Last time it rang, 3 years ago, a freshman was found dead in the library. No injuries, no cause, just gone. Maya didn't believe him until her third week. Staying late for drama rehearsals, she was the last one in the building. That's when she heard it. Gong. The sound vibrated through the halls, rattling her chest. She froze. The next morning, the history teacher was found dead at home. Heart attack, they said. She tried to dismiss it. Old man, natural causes. But when the bell rang again a week later, and a sophomore collapsed in gym class with no explanation, Maya couldn't shake it. She told Daniel. He went pale. It's starting again. When Maya asked what he meant, he only muttered, "You'll see," and refused to say more. Driven by dread, Maya decided to investigate. She slipped into the west wing after hours and climbed the locked stairwell. Dust coated every step. At the top, she found the bell, massive, green with patina. But it was wrong. It had no clapper. It couldn't ring. On the wall behind it, words were carved deep into the stone. The bell tolls, not for them. It tolls for you. She staggered back, and that's when she heard footsteps. Her classmates, Daniel among them, stepped from the shadows. They were smiling. "You heard it," Daniel said softly. "That means you're next." They told her the truth. The bell didn't kill. The students did. For decades, Crestwood had a tradition. When someone heard the bell, it marked them as a sacrifice. Kill one, and the rest of the school lived peacefully. Ignore it, and the curse spread, taking dozens. "It's how we keep the school alive," Daniel explained, almost apologetically. Maya laughed, thinking it a cruel prank. But when she tried to run, she realized they weren't joking. They surrounded her with knives, ropes, and blank expressions. That night, Maya barely escaped, vowing to expose them. She went to Principal Hayes. Breathless, she told him everything. To her shock, he didn't deny it. He only sighed. "You weren't supposed to find out this way." From his desk, he pulled out a weathered journal. Inside were decades of records, names, dates, causes of death. Every victim heard the bell. "This school was built on stolen land," Hayes said, voice heavy. "The bell was cast from the iron chains of a massacre. Blood bound it. We can't stop it. We can only feed it." Maya realized the teachers knew. They'd always known. They were the ones who chose which students carried out the killings. The tradition wasn't just the students, it was institutional. Maya planned to run. She even packed a bag. But that night, she heard the bell again, louder, vibrating inside her skull. She clutched her head in agony. Only this time, she wasn't alone. Her mother burst into her room, pale and shaking. "I heard it too," she whispered. That's when the last, cruelest twist revealed itself. It wasn't just a school curse. Crestwood's graduates never escaped. The bell followed them for life, passing through bloodlines. Maya understood. Her transfer hadn't been random. Her family was already part of Crestwood's legacy. And now, so was she. Maya tracked down Crestwood graduates. At first, they were hard to find. Most moved far away and changed their names. She found one, Mrs. Ellison, a woman in her 70s, living in a nursing home. When Maya asked her about the bell, the woman began to cry. "It never stops," she whispered. "Sometimes it's faint, like wind in my ears. Other times it shakes the walls. My husband, he couldn't take it. He thought if he ended his life, the bell would stop." She leaned closer, trembling. It didn't. Maya realized the curse wasn't about the school alone. It infected people, binding them forever. Daniel began following her everywhere. He wasn't threatening anymore. He looked desperate. "You don't get it," he said. "I don't want this either. But if we don't feed it, the deaths spread. Teachers, kids, families. The bell chooses, and we're the ones who carry it out. It's the only way to contain it." Maya asked him if he'd ever killed. He didn't answer, but his silence was louder than the bell. Maya snuck back into the principal's office and stole the journal. Inside were cassette tapes tucked between pages, each labeled with names and years. She found an old recorder in the AV room and pressed play. The first tape was static, then voices chanting. A deep metallic toll shook the speaker. Screams followed, cut short by silence. The last tape had her name scrawled on it. When she played it, she heard her own voice. "I heard it!" Digging into town records, Maya uncovered Crestwood's darkest truth. The land had once been a settlement for freed slaves after the Civil War. The massacre wasn't random. It was orchestrated by the town's founders to erase that history. Chains melted into the bell were soaked in betrayal, rage, and blood. But the bell wasn't just an artifact. It was a vessel. Something had been bound inside it, something that thrived on ritual death. Maya decided she wouldn't play along. Instead of killing, she tried to break the cycle. She returned to the tower with bolt cutters, hammers, and gasoline. Daniel caught her in the act. "You'll make it worse," he begged. "If you destroy it, it won't bind to the school anymore. It'll be everywhere." For a moment, she hesitated, but then the bell tolled again, and she saw her mother collapse, clutching her chest downstairs. Maya struck the bell with the hammer. The sound that rang out wasn't metal. It was screaming. The next morning, Crestwood High was gone. Literally. The building reduced to rubble, as if decades of rot had happened overnight. But across town, church bells, wind chimes, even cell phone alarms, all began tolling on their own. Students covered their ears as people collapsed in waves. Maya realized too late. Daniel was right. The curse wasn't destroyed. It was free. The hammer strike split the bronze with a jagged crack. Fire licked up its side, the patina bubbling and peeling as if the bell itself were rotting alive. Maya stumbled back as the entire tower shook. The air vibrated, pressing against her skull until blood seeped from her nose. The bell wailed, not a toll this time, a scream. Thousands of voices woven together, rage and grief, carrying through the night. The tower walls buckled, stones splintering, dust choking the stairwell. Daniel dragged her down the steps as the structure gave way behind them. When they burst outside, Crestwood High was collapsing in on itself. Windows shattered, bricks tumbled, and the jagged spire crumbled into ash. In seconds, the school was nothing but a smoking crater. For a heartbeat, the silence was complete. Then the sound came again, not from the crater, from everywhere. Across the town, bells tolled. The church tower, the courthouse clock, the chapel at the cemetery. Wind chimes on porches began rattling. ringing out notes no wind could produce. Even cell phones buzzed, alarms chiming on their own. Each tone carried the same vibration. The voice of the bell, now unbound. Maya clutched her ears as screams echoed through the streets. People staggered from their homes, clutching their chests, dropping where they stood. A mother's wail cut short mid-cry. A dog howled once, then collapsed. The curse was no longer confined to Crestwood High. Daniel fell to his knees beside her. "You set it free," he gasped, eyes wide with horror. "It was trapped. We kept it trapped." Maya's chest ached. Every toll felt like it cracked something inside her ribs. She tried to breathe, but the air felt thick, vibrating. She fell forward, hands pressed to the pavement. Blood trickled from her ears. Around her, the world rang. The sound spread, carried by wind, carried by signal, carried by steel and wire and glass. It would not stop at Crestwood. It would travel as far as there were bells, as far as there were voices to hear it. And once you heard it, it was already too late. Maya understood, in her final moments, the terrible truth. The bell had never been meant to silence the dead. It had always been meant to awaken them.